it's noon sharp, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for joining us again for Smart Talks. We got another good one here. It's not quite autumn yet, but I think it hopefully, fingers crossed, will be by the next time we have one of these meetings. So we went ahead and threw the autumn graphic up on the title slide. Just a reminder to everybody, these are your meetings. We put them on for you guys. We try to pick topics that we think will be valuable for you. So if you have questions, if you have, concerns, if there's a topic that you think would be a good one for us to cover in a Smart Talks, feel free to reach out. You can use the Q&A portion, which I'll give a reminder on how that works here shortly. But use the Q&A, send us an email, comment on social media, YouTube, that kind of stuff. And then also a reminder, because we've gotten some questions about the cadence of these meetings. We do switch off every month. So 1 month we will have a Scissortail presentation. The next month we'll have an Acumatica. Not the best time to, bring that up because next month we're doing our Excel presentation. And then after that, we've got some year-end ones. So, but generally speaking, most of the rest of the year, it's an on-off kind of situation. So hopefully that kind of clears things up a little bit. Also a reminder for your time here today, you will be entered in a drawing to win one of our CS3 Yetis. I have one more Yeti to give away, and then we're going to switch over to something a little new. So one of you guys will be receiving this Yeti in the mail. They're great cups. I have a bunch of them personally, and I love them. So the new one is also pretty cool. I've already seen it. I've got one at home. You guys will be able to see those next month. But yeah, just keep in mind, you don't have to do anything. Someone's just going to get lucky. And then I kind of mentioned this already, but follow us on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube. We're always putting out new content, updating you guys on what we're doing, where we're going, sharing helpful tips and tutorials and things like that via YouTube. So reach out to us there. Make sure to give us a follow, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I promised a Q&A tutorial, so here you guys go. We switched over to using Teams a few months ago, so if this is your first Smart Talks in a while, things might be a little new and weird, but in that ribbon across the top of your screen, you should have a Q&A button, which will pull up a side panel that gives you access to the Q&A. So we don't generally answer questions during the presentation. We like to hold them all for the end. So I'll be monitoring. If you guys ask a question, just know I'll see it and I'll make sure to pass it along to Troy at the end of the presentation. But if you don't see an immediate response, don't fret. We will make sure to get to you guys. Another reminder, we're going to go ahead and send out the slide deck. At the end of the presentation, I should be able to get you guys that either this afternoon or tomorrow. So just watch your inbox for that. That'll come with the recording as well. So Acumatica features. Every month we kind of like to point out an Acumatica feature or just highlight something that may be a little lesser known and make your lives easier. So Troy's going to spend a lot of time today talking about all kinds of things like this, but I did want to take just a moment to highlight the Excel Acumatica relationship. You're able to export data from nearly all detail grids, import data using the import from Excel function, or build a connection to OData resources and pull data directly from Acumatica to ensure real-time updates as you modify your parameters. You can also pull things like custom financial reports. So there's a lot of opportunities to make your life easier by marrying Excel and Acumatica. And if you guys need any help setting that up, or you have questions about how those things work, as always, you can reach out to your consultants and we'll make sure to get you guys all taken care of. In that same vein, we do have our Scissortail HCM product to help you guys with all of your HR management needs. Benefits time is kind of coming just around the corner. I know that's a nightmare for a lot of HR professionals. So we just wanted to point out that benefit updates with Scissortail is an incredibly easy process. You can quickly update things like rate tables, coverages, waiting periods, carrier info, upload fact sheets, all kinds of things that just make your HR management life easier as well as employee lives easier. So if you have any questions about Scissortail or, how we're able to help manage your HR needs, feel free to reach out again and we'll fill you guys in and get you all taken care of. And our last ad read for the day is for our referral program. So our business continues to grow, and a big part of that growth is with referrals from our alliance partners or clients. We've had a bunch of new customers that come from either you guys or other, partners that we work with, and I think that's a really good way to kind of build a customer base. Nobody really knows what we're looking for better than you guys, I would say. So you're kind of uniquely qualified to point people our direction. And we've all had experiences working with like a vendor or a customer or, whatever it is that is just kind of not as organized as we'd like. Whether it's like sending documents, maintaining timelines, communication breakdown, there's all kinds of things that can, make somebody frustrating to work with. So if you do work with anybody in your day-to-day that you think could really benefit from a sit down with CS3, feel free to send them our way. And if you wanted to do that, I'm going to show you how. Just from the new homepage, you'll look in this bottom right-hand corner for the magic finger there in the bottom right. Just click that button. That's going to take you to the client resource center. And from there, you're just going to look for that referral partners tile. So click there, fill out the information, and then we will take it from there. And also just as a reminder, if you send us a referral and things, progress well and they end up coming on board with CS3, there's a $500 gift in there for you as well. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. We love hearing from you guys, and it helps us out a bunch. So with that, I am going to hand it over to Troy. I'm sure everybody here has had the pleasure of speaking with Troy. He's a pretty brilliant guy with an in-depth knowledge of Acumatica. He's much more qualified to talk about this than I am. So I'm going to dip out and let him take over.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay, Derek?
I can. Everything sounds good.
Excellent. All right. We got quite a bit to go through here today. This is not the entire list of enhancements that came out for 2023 to R2 and 2024 R1, but these are the ones that we found to be the most significant. Acumatica currently is releasing about 520 pages of release notes a year. Lots of change, a lot of good things coming from that. If you do see something that applies to a module or a vertical that you own and you'd like to explore having that feature turned on or activated in your system, don't hesitate to reach us at support@cs3technology.com and we'll be happy to assist you with that. That being said, we're going to jump right into these. Very first enhancement that's coming out that I think is brilliant is we can now delete customer statements. And so within Acumatica, if you've done a statement run and there's something that you didn't like about it and you just want to totally wipe it out, not save it in the system, before you would just regenerate and you'd have 2 copies and then it was a nightmare. But now with this little delete last statements button, you can wipe away that last set of statement cycles that you ran. By default, this is only available in the supervisor role, but if you put in a support ticket, we can easily add that to another role if you wanted someone else to be able to do that, like an AR clerk, for example. Moving on, also in AR, they now have the ability to use credit terms. There are some industries that require aging of credit memos. So this functionality is now an option that can be turned on within AR. And with that, you can either choose to have that appear on a statement or not, depending on how you want that set up. Okay, that didn't work so well. What just happened? There we go. Similarly, in 2023 R2, AP credit terms was added. There seems to be this theme lately of one version we get AR and then the next version we get AP. So you can also age your debit adjustments, your credits from vendors now within Acumatica, just like you can on the AR side. Another cool thing is the AP reclassification from AP. So in the past, if you reclassed an AP bill and you wanted to correct an expense account or a sub account, it would kind of break the link between the bill and the GL. This made the future debit adjustments problematic because you get the credit from the vendor would cause it to post the original expense account unless you noticed that it had been reclassified. That was kind of annoying. And so you'd end up processing the debit adjustment and then having to do some kind of reclass on that, or if you correct it before you release it. Now, with this new feature, the reclass actually happens in the AP and then carries down to the GL, so that no longer have that kind of disconnect that gets created. If Acumatica holds to their pattern, we should see AR in the next release and then cash soon after. So I'm really hoping that they keep this up, because it's been one of the big gaps that everybody's been pointing out for a long time. The old quick check, they've renamed to cash purchases. I'm sure everybody's seen that by now. But the only way in the past to undo a cash purchase was to void the transaction. They've added a new option that is to reverse that cash purchase document, and it's really pretty handy to easily create a reverse and have all that undone, because cash purchase, if you don't recall, is both a bill and a payment done together. And so this one, likewise, I'm expecting to see the cash sale have a auto reverse here in the next edition. The POs, PO improvements. There's been more data has been added to the PO history tab on the purchase order screen. It makes it a lot easier for us to see the receipt type, the return types, and you can see kind of in the box there. And it also has the dates of when those items were created, which makes understanding what happens when you're doing returns much, much easier now. So look out for that one. One of the ones that our clients have been asking for that got approved and put in is the approval on sales invoices. So you can do an approval map and approval notifications to have the sales invoices go through an approval workflow. This had always been there for AR, but on the sales side, it didn't exist. So now they're identical. So definitely happy about that. DRP has become official thing now, which DRP is MRP for distribution. So we have MRP for manufacturing and DRP for distribution now. And these are inventory planning alternates within Acumatica. Acumatica for a long time, 2017, has had inventory replenishment. Now with these two options, we can actually select a planning method either at the item class level or even down to the individual part number. There's a box where you select which planning method you want that part number to use, and then it appears on those different reports. It allows a lot greater flexibility depending on what level of inventory planning you need to do for specific type items. DRP, of course, is much more sophisticated than inventory replenishment, but they both have their benefits. So the other big thing that came in this drop was the fact that kits are part of MRP and DRP now. So there's long been an issue of being able to plan the detailed components within kits, or if you had kits within kits, getting all those details and knowing how many components you needed to order so that you could build the kit when you needed it. That's been added to DRP and MRP now. It's going to be very awesome, especially since there's those multi-tiered kits. It works really slick. I really like it. And the really cool thing is it works for stock kits and it works for non-stock kits that have components within those items. So if you had a stock item within a non-stock kit, it's going to work. And just as a reminder, non-stock kits versus stock kits, the non-stock one are kind of built as they're sold, and the stock ones are built and put on the shelf in advance. So if you weren't aware of that fact, please reach out and we can help set those up. I know some people have been wondering about that. Manufacturing also now allows us to lock production orders. There's a setting where you can have every order auto locked once it reaches the completion stage. But at the same time, there's also a manual option where you can lock an order at any time. Locking an order will prevent it from getting any type of labor or materials transactions added to it. And so it kind of blocks those transactions. Also prevents receipt of that material until it's unlocked. The other thing is that you can still do work in progress or WIP adjustments with that lock on. So it's really meant for finance to be able to review the production order before it gets to that closing stage where the WIP is cleared. Field service, this one I'm a little bit on the fence on. Acumatica has got this ongoing effort to try and improve the field service module that they bought several years back. They have had some problems with how credits and returns work with that, and how field service interacts with sales orders, which interacts with sales invoices. This does not apply at all if you're doing like a labor only service where it creates an AR invoice. This is only if it has to go through that sales order, usually because there's materials involved. They have added an ability to reverse that invoice. And so it's like a perfect credit memo that's all the lines, and it reverses it in its entirety. They did, when they did this, lock you out from being able to remove lines or change quantities or values. So you can't do like a partial credit. And that's kind of what makes me get on the fence about this. It also eliminates the correct or cancel options that used to be available in the invoice. I know that those caused some problems if they were done wrong, and that this is trying to prevent those bad errors that cause those problems. So it's a good thing in some ways, but I think I need to do some more experimentation with this and make sure that I'm 100% clear on how to process all of those different scenarios. If that makes any sense at all. Yeah, moving on. Okay, CRM, the personal email accounts. This one, there's no fence in sight. It's pure gold. This simplifies your email setup. It gives you more flexible options. You can assign multiple email addresses to one user profile in Acumatica so that when they send an email, they can have options. This has been long on our list of things that we wanted to see, and it's finally here. There were some people that had security concerns with visibility of other people's emails. This completely eliminates those concerns and definitely improves using personal emails. Like if I want to send from Troy Vars, I can do that in Acumatica, or I could send it from our help email address, and I have option to choose either one. It makes things a lot better. So I'm excited about that. The other one that is, again, pure gold is the ability now to have different email templates and different invoices by branch. So if I wanted branch A to send an invoice format and then a different branch, and again, branches being like different divisions of a company, to send a different formatted invoice, they can go out completely different. And there's a one-time setup in the system to do that. Likewise, those email templates could have different wordings and different signatures coming out of the Acumatica system just by branch. And we could do this in the past. It was a lot of work. Now it's a few clicks and it's done. So a very awesome thing. One that we'll be using here at CS3 in our in-house cases is this ability to, when you close a support case, it's going to ask you for your closing notes, which we usually put in our resolution or how we fix the problem. And that way, if you're ever doing research in the future, it makes it really handy to find it. Before we had to do this with a UDF or by splitting our description box, but now we can do that with a simple click of the button. When you hit close, it pops up and you fill it in and save it, and it has its own little tab. Very cool. Excuse me. Moving on. So we've got corporate card refunds on expenses. We could do this in 2023 R2 on everything except for if it was related to field servicer or project accounting. Now you can do a negative value or a negative quantity for your expense receipt, as if a charge was reversed on the credit card, then you have the positive and the negative, and if everything clears, you're good. So that makes accounting's life much easier in cleaning up those issues with refunds or returned money on cards. The biggest change we're going to discuss today is about security. Teaching security was always a dreaded thing because of there's this not set confusion where in the old system, not set could mean you had access. It could mean you didn't have access. It depended on all the other roles. Well, that all goes away, and we're going to super simplify security. So Acumatica has finally cleared it up. If you have granted, delete, insert, edit, or view only, then you have access. If your role says revoked, means that you do not have access. If it says inherited, you look up one level, and that'll tell you what your access is. If for some reason you have two different accesses, one says revoked and one says granted, then the positive one always takes precedence. So you have access because you had granted. And that is so much simpler to explain than the old way. We could be here for 20 minutes discussing it and you'd still be confused. So very great thing that's come down the pipe. All right, generic inquiries. I love generic inquiries. One of the biggest challenge when we were building complex reports was the fact that in that generic inquiry, you had to go straight to the table. And if you had to do some kind of calculation before you got to merging your data, if you're trying to show something at a header level and a detail level, there was a problem. Most programs like SQL or other kind of linking programs like Access, you could build what we would call subqueries. So now Acumatica has made it where you can build a generic inquiry that does some calculations and then use that as a building block to merge with other data and have those two link up so that you can display the header level and do a calculation all at the same time. It's going to be very powerful, very awesome. We've seen this for 2 years in some variations, and there's always been a bug. They've got it fixed. I've played with it extensively, and I adore it. And if you can't tell, I'm very, very happy and kind of nerding out about it. The other thing you'll notice is that there's the publish to UI button. This goes back to the security that we were just talking about. A lot of times when a generic inquiry got created by users in the system, they'd not think about security, and it would default to not set. And so everybody would have access to that generic inquiry right off the bat. And sometimes somebody would go in and assign just one role, and then only certain people had access, but they intended it to be for more people. And so this was an ongoing issue in Acumatica. With the new security and not having the not set option anymore, they had to have a way to force you to put in security. So when you hit the publish to UI button, there's now a box where you can select either giving it to everybody, giving it to no one, or picking a specific role or other screen that you want it to have the same security as, and then it copies. So for example, if I created a sales order generic inquiry and I wanted to publish that out to anybody that had access to sales orders, I could just pick the sales order screen on that list, and it would assign all the same roles access to that generic inquiry. And so it makes it very quick and easy to create these things and get them out with the right security attached so that your data is protected. All right. The next one I want to talk about is business events. For the longest time, business events and formulas did not play well together at all in Acumatica. If you added a formula to a generic inquiry, suddenly your business event would stop firing off emails or creating tasks or importing data. Whatever your subscriber was would stop being triggered. They have fixed that. Not only have they fixed it, they actually went one step further and made it so that we can put in formulas right in those events. And so in this example, somebody's written a business event that they want to send out the day before an invoice comes due. And so this could be an email that gets sent out, or it may be to raise a case to the billing department. There's a lot of different scenarios that you could have. The screwdriver, a task, maybe you want to follow up and call and say, hey, this was supposed to be, you're supposed to have paid this today, but we haven't received it, those kind of things. Well, you can write a formula now, and you'll see there's down there, it says date add, it says the due date, and then 2 days. And in the screenshot, it's a typo. It says +2. So that's a mistake, but it should be a -2. And so it'd be, this would get triggered at midnight the day before it would come due. So it would create the task first thing in the morning, so that when the billing department came in, they would see that task, or they'd get the email, or the client would get the email. And so that's just one really simple example of how you can set up a business event to work this way. The last one, being a developer, I think is very cool. This continued drive towards low-no code in Acumatica is going to be very awesome. And steps along that way is the ability for you to create a dialog box that is triggered by a action in Acumatica. So we create a very simple action that we call share, for example. When a user pushes that share button, it's going to open a dialog box that has the employees and contacts that you can select. And when the dialog's processed, it's going to send an email with that formatted message that says, here's a hyperlink, go look at this transaction. The wonderful thing is you can then take that action and copy it to all the different forms in Acumatica that you want, and have that business event fire off of that dialog box. This opens up a lot of different scenarios and a lot of potential things that can happen within the system where instead of wanting the data, instead of you wanting the data to tell Acumatica what to happen, you can have somebody manually intervene. You can also have it trigger off of the end of a processing screen. So you went in and you released a bunch of allocations, and maybe you wanted an email to go out when those were released. All those different things now become a possibility and are very simple to set up. And boy, I have a tendency to talk super, super fast when we do this live. That being said, this is the list of items that we had kind of pulled together for this time frame. If there was anything that wasn't clear or questions that you guys want to ask, please, by all means, I can expound on any of these topics ad nauseum if you want to know. So.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Troy. That was an awesome rundown of all the new and, big changes to Acumatica with the most recent release. So we don't have any questions in the Q&A at the moment, but if something comes to you between now and the end of the presentation, feel free to throw it in there and we'll circle back. I've just got a couple of more things to run through, and then if there are no questions, you guys can have some time back in your day, which I think everybody always appreciates. So we are coming to the end of show season as far as trade conferences and things like that go. We've got 2 more lined up for Michael to attend, HR Southwest in Fort Worth in the middle of August, or excuse me, the middle of October, and then Arkansas SHRM toward the end that following week. So those are both HR conferences. We'll be there promoting our Scissortail product. But if by chance you have somebody in your organization that'll be there, or if you're interested in attending, feel free to reach out and we can get you guys the details there. We also like to mention our CS3 advisors. If you're looking for professional speakers, we have plenty on staff to discuss leadership, business development, HR management, anything that you think we might be able to come in and share our expertise on. We're more than happy to do that. So if you're interested in that, or if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is right there on the screen, and I'll get you guys some details for that. We also want to remind you guys that, like I said at the top, we do this every month. So we're rolling into our kind of year-end series. Next month, we're going to do the Excel showcase, which from what I understand is a pretty big deal. So be on the lookout for the invites to that. You should see those hitting your inboxes around the first week of October. So we'll be having that presentation, and then from there we'll roll into our year-end checklists, both for payroll and accounting. So keep that in mind as we head toward the end of the year. I know it's a cliched thing to say, but it is kind of wild to me that we're already basically at the end of September. It was a pretty fast year. So Serve Access Plan clients, today's session will be recorded, or it's already been recorded, and we'll make sure to get that up for you into the video library early next week. If you're not a Serve Access Plan member, just reach out to Ira. You can see his contact information there at the bottom of the screen. Don't forget, somebody's going to get a Yeti, so be on the lookout for that. Doesn't look like we've had any more questions come up, so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some time back. Thank you for coming. We appreciate your attendance, and we will see you guys next month. Take care.